Let me tell you something that might shock you. Men don't fall in love because of how beautiful you are, how much you give, or how much you sacrifice. They fall in love when you set one powerful boundary, the kind that makes them respect you, chase you, and never want to let you go. And once you understand this boundary, you'll never settle for less, and you'll never question your worth again. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what that boundary is, and why it keeps a man's heart locked on you forever. You know what's interesting? So many people think love starts when someone else sees your worth, but the truth is, it starts when you see it yourself. Respect doesn't magically appear in a relationship because someone else decides to give it to you. Respect starts with you. And here's why that matters: men mirror what you model. If you treat yourself like your time is disposable, like your energy is endless, like your needs don't matter, he's going to believe that too. But when you carry yourself with quiet confidence, when you move like someone who knows her value, you set the tone. You don't even have to demand respect. It naturally rises to meet you. Think about it this way: if you walk into a room with the mindset that you're grateful for whatever scraps of attention or effort you get, people will give you scraps. But if you walk into a room with the energy that your presence is valuable, that your time is limited, that your love is a privilege, people adjust. They sense it. They feel it. And men especially, they notice it immediately. Because a woman who respects herself doesn't just stand out, she becomes unforgettable. And let me be clear, respecting yourself isn't about arrogance. It's not about walking around with your nose in the air, thinking you're better than everyone else. It's about alignment. It's about your actions, your words, and your boundaries all agreeing with the truth of your worth. You don't say yes to things that drain you. You don't chase after someone who's not chasing you. You don't settle for half love because your heart deserves full commitment. That's what self-respect looks like in action. Now here's the secret: most people miss respect is contagious. The way you respect yourself teaches people how to treat you. If you always pick up the phone, no matter how late he calls, you're teaching him that your schedule doesn't matter. If you always drop your plans when he shows up last minute, you're teaching him that his time is more valuable than yours. But when you politely decline, when you say, "No, I've got something important to do," you're teaching him that you live by priorities. And believe me, that makes a man sit up straighter. That makes him lean in. Because suddenly he realizes your world doesn't revolve around him. And that's exactly what makes him want to earn a place in it. Respect is magnetic. It makes a man take notice because it tells him you're not just waiting around to be chosen. You're choosing to. You're choosing how you spend your energy. You're choosing who gets access to your heart. And the moment he sees that you respect yourself, he knows that if he wants to stay, he has to step up. Not because you told him to, not because you begged him to, but because your very presence demands it. Let me tell you something: the most attractive quality you can carry isn't beauty, it isn't charm, it isn't even kindness, it's self-respect, because beauty can fade, charm can wear thin, kindness can be taken for granted. But respect, that lasts. Respect makes a man think twice before he takes you for granted. Respect makes him put in the effort he wouldn't put in for anyone else. Respect is what transforms attraction into devotion. So if you want him to fall in love forever, start here. Start with the way you value yourself. Start with the way you honor your own time, your own heart, your own soul. Because when you hold yourself to that standard, you're not just asking for love, you're showing what real love looks like. And the man who recognizes that, he won't just admire you. He'll fight to keep you. There's a word that so many people are afraid of, but it might be the most powerful word in your entire vocabulary. No. And I don't mean saying it with anger or bitterness. I mean saying it with calm confidence, without apology, without guilt, without trying to explain yourself for 10 minutes afterward. Because here's the truth: every time you say yes when you really mean no, You're teaching someone that your boundaries are negotiable, and once that line gets blurred, respect starts to slip away. Men don't fall in love because you give them everything they want, whenever they want it. They fall in love when they realize you are not afraid to walk away from something that doesn't serve you. And the way you communicate that is through your no. It's not rejection, it's direction. It's not about pushing someone out, it's about pointing them toward what's right. When you say no to disrespect, you're pointing toward respect. When you say no to inconsistency, you're pointing toward commitment. When you say no to crumbs of effort, you're pointing toward the kind of love that feeds you. The reason so many people struggle with this is because they think saying no makes them less lovable. They think it's going to push someone away. But what if I told you that saying yes to everything is what pushes someone away faster than anything else? Because here's what happens when you always say yes, when you always bend, when you always make room for someone else's needs at the expense of your own. You don't inspire respect. You inspire comfort. And comfort without respect doesn't lead to love, it leads to complacency. A man doesn't fall in love with the woman who is always convenient. He falls in love with the woman who knows her worth, who makes him rise to the occasion, who isn't afraid to let silence speak when something doesn't feel right. That's what no does. It teaches him where the line is, and it teaches him that if he wants to cross into your world, he has to do it with care. Think about it. If you're always available, always accessible, always saying yes, there's no weight to your presence. But when you set boundaries with your no, your yes becomes powerful. It becomes meaningful. When you say yes to spending time with him, he knows it's because you actually want to, not because you felt pressured. When you say yes to opening up emotionally, he knows it's because he's earned that trust, not because you're desperate to give it away. And that difference is everything. Men don't always say this out loud, but they respect women who can say no. It shows strength. It shows clarity. It shows that you're not desperate for attention, that you're not afraid of being alone, that you value yourself too much to accept less than what you deserve. That makes him lean in, because now he understands if he wants your yes, he has to show up with consistency, with effort, with integrity. And when a man knows he has to put in the work to earn you, that's when love takes root. It's not about playing games, it's about living by your truth. A firm, confident no isn't meant to punish, it's meant to protect. Protect your peace. Protect your energy. Protect the love you're capable of giving. And when you guard it that way, you don't just set boundaries, you set the stage for real, lasting love. Because at the end of the day, a man won't fall for the woman who gives him everything he asks for. He falls for the woman who knows exactly when to say no. One of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is believing that love means giving all of yourself away emotionally until there's nothing left for you. You've probably heard it before. If you really love someone, you'll always be there for them, no matter what. And while it sounds noble, it's not healthy, because the truth is, love cannot survive without balance. Being emotionally available is important, yes, but being endlessly available, that doesn't build love, it builds dependency. And dependency isn't love, it's imbalance. Men don't fall in love because you're always there to fix their moods, manage their problems, or soothe every insecurity. They fall in love when they realize you are supportive, but not self-sacrificing. They fall in love when they see that your heart has space for them, but isn't consumed by them. That's the difference. And it all comes down to one thing: setting limits on your emotional availability. Now, let me make something clear. This doesn't mean you turn cold or detached. It doesn't mean you shut down when he's vulnerable or act like you don't care. What it does mean is that you recognize your limits. You know the line between being compassionate and being consumed. You know the difference between offering comfort and becoming someone's emotional crutch. And the moment you respect that line, everything changes. Because here's what happens if you don't. When you're always there to pick up the pieces, when you constantly pour out and never refill yourself, resentment builds. You start to feel drained, unseen, and underappreciated. And ironically, the more you give, the less value it seems to hold because he begins to expect it instead of cherish it. That's why men respect women who show emotional strength, but also emotional boundaries. Because it tells him, I love you, but I love myself too. Think about how powerful that is. When you can look someone in the eye and say, I want to be there for you, but I also need to protect my peace. You're not pushing them away. You're teaching them how to love you back. You're modeling what mutual care looks like. And a man who's serious about you won't run from that. He'll rise to it. He'll learn that love isn't just about taking what you give. It's about matching it, respecting it, protecting it. And here's the deeper truth: emotional boundaries actually make your connection stronger. Because when you're not drained, when you're not stretched thin, you can give the best version of yourself. Your love becomes intentional, not obligatory. Your presence becomes something he looks forward to, not something he takes for granted. And that contrast is what makes him appreciate you on a deeper level. See, men don't fall for the woman who carries all their burdens on her back. They fall for the woman who says, I'll walk with you, but I won't lose myself along the way. That's what creates a lifelong bond. That's what makes him respect you, because it shows him you are not only strong enough to love him, but also wise enough to love yourself. And when you draw that line, when you protect your heart while still opening it, you create a kind of love that doesn't just last a moment, it lasts forever. There's one thing that can destroy love faster than anything else: disrespect. You can work through disagreements, you can work through misunderstandings, you can even work through mistakes. But the moment disrespect becomes part of the relationship, the foundation starts to crack. And here's where the boundary comes in. Because you can't control how someone treats you, but you can control what you allow. And the moment you allow disrespect, you've taught them that your love can exist in an environment it was never meant to survive in. Now, disrespect doesn't always come in the obvious ways. Sometimes it's not shouting, not name-calling, not the kind of behavior that stands out right away. Sometimes it's the subtle things, the jokes that cut a little too deep, the texts that never get answered, the promises that are broken again and again, the way he dismisses your feelings like they're not valid. Those small cracks of disrespect, if ignored, turn into patterns. And patterns, if tolerated, turn into normal. But the moment you draw the line, the moment you calmly, firmly, and without hesitation make it clear that you don't stay where respect isn't present, that's when things shift. See, men don't respect women who tolerate being walked on. They respect women who know when to stand tall and walk away. And here's why: when you choose not to accept disrespect, you're not punishing him, you're protecting yourself. You're sending the message that love, to you, is not just about passion or connection. It's about dignity. And if he can't give that, then he doesn't get to keep you. And don't get it twisted. Standing against disrespect isn't about being confrontational. It's not about blowing up or throwing ultimatums every time something goes wrong. It's about presence. It's about consistency. It's about holding a quiet strength that says, I know my worth, and I will not allow anyone, no matter who they are, to chip away at it. That calm conviction is powerful. A man might test it, he might push it, he might see how far you'll bend. But when you don't bend, when you hold steady, he realizes he has two choices: either step up or step out. And the ones who truly value you will always step up. And let's be real, sometimes the hardest part isn't recognizing the disrespect. It's letting go of the fear that comes with drawing that line. The fear of losing him. The fear of being alone. The fear of walking away from what you've already invested your heart into. But here's the thing: you never actually lose by standing for respect. You only gain. Because if he can't honor you, he was never meant to keep you. And if he sees your strength, and chooses to rise to it, then you've created a bond that's built on something unbreakable. At the end of the day, love without respect is not love, it's control, it's convenience, it's comfort at your expense. And you were never meant for that. You were meant for a love that lifts you, a love that protects you, a love that honors you in every word and every action. And the only way to get that is to draw the boundary that says, without hesitation, I will never stay where respect does not live. One of the most misunderstood things about relationships is space. People hear that word and immediately think of distance, separation, maybe even rejection. But space isn't the absence of love. It's the fuel that keeps it alive. When you have a boundary that protects your individuality, your dreams, your friendships, your passions, you're not pushing love away, you're giving it room to breathe. And when you do that, something incredible happens, desire grows. Because here's the truth. Nobody falls in love with someone who disappears into them. You don't admire what blends in, you admire what stands out. And when you continue to live your life fully, even while in a relationship, you're showing him that you're not waiting for him to complete you. You're already complete. You're showing him that your world is rich, that your life is full, that being with him is not about filling an emptiness. It's about adding to an already powerful existence. That's magnetic. That's unforgettable. Men fall deeper for the woman who doesn't give up her passions, who doesn't shrink her life down to fit inside his. Because it shows him strength. It shows him confidence. It shows him that if he wants to be with you, he's going to have to fit into a life that already has meaning and purpose. And that doesn't push him away, it pulls him in. Because now, being with you feels like a privilege, not an obligation. Think about it. If you make him your entire world, he'll eventually start to feel the weight of that. He'll feel the pressure to be your everything, and that pressure doesn't make him love more. It makes him retreat. But when you have balance, when you keep space for your own growth, he feels something completely different. He feels admiration. He feels excitement. He feels that spark of desire that doesn't fade because he knows he doesn't own you. He's choosing you, and you're choosing him back. And let me tell you, the most attractive thing you can do is protect that space. Protect your friendships. Protect your goals. Protect the things that light you up outside of the relationship. Because when you do, you're reminding him that your love is a choice, not a dependency. You're reminding him that he can't ever take you for granted because you don't need him to survive. You're with him because you want to be. That difference creates a kind of passion that lasts. It's the same reason why absence can sometimes intensify love. Not because you're playing games or pulling away, but because you're living. You're giving him the gift of missing you, of realizing your presence isn't guaranteed, of understanding that if he wants to keep you close, he has to keep showing up. That's not manipulation, that's human nature. Space creates appreciation. And the beautiful thing is, when both people in a relationship have that balance, love becomes healthier, stronger, more secure. Because you're not clinging, you're connecting. You're not suffocating, you're growing. You're not losing yourself, you're sharing yourself. And that kind of love doesn't just survive, it thrives. So if you want a man to fall and keep falling, don't erase yourself to fit him. Protect your individuality. Guard your space. Keep chasing your dreams. Keep living your life. Because the more you do, the more he'll chase you. Not because he has to, but because he'll never want to lose a woman who refuses to lose herself. At the heart of all of this, it really comes down to one thing: self-worth. That's the boundary. That's the line in the sand that changes everything. Because when you know your worth, you don't negotiate it. You don't trade it for temporary affection. You don't lower it for convenience. And you don't hide it to make someone else feel more comfortable. You carry it with you in every choice, every word, every step. And a man can't help but notice that. See, love becomes fragile when it's built on insecurity, when you believe you have to earn love by giving, by sacrificing yourself, by proving that you're worthy. what happens? You start chasing validation instead of receiving commitment. But when you operate from self-worth, everything flips. You no longer wonder if you're enough for him. You start asking if he's enough for you. And that shift in energy, that quiet confidence, is exactly what makes a man fall in love in a way that lasts. Self-worth is magnetic because it sends a message without you ever needing to say a word. It tells him, I don't need to be chosen to feel valuable. I already know I am. It tells him, I can love you deeply, but I will never abandon myself to do it. It tells him, if you want to stay, you have to rise to the level of how I treat myself. And a man who's ready for real love will rise every single time. And let's be honest, there will always be moments when you're tempted to lower the bar. Moments when you feel that fear of being alone. Moments when you wonder if maybe you should just accept what's in front of you instead of waiting for what you deserve. But that's when this boundary matters most, because it's in those moments when it would be easier to settle that self-worth shows its true power. It gives you the strength to hold out for love that's healthy, respect that's consistent, and a relationship that actually feeds your soul. Here's the beauty of it. When you live with that boundary, you stop attracting the wrong kind of attention. You stop entertaining men who only want convenience, men who only want access without effort, men who only want your presence without your partnership. They don't even stick around because your energy makes it clear they don't qualify. And the ones who are serious, the ones who are ready, the ones who see what you bring, they don't just stay, they commit. Because they know you're not replaceable, you're not duplicable, and you're not lowering yourself to make it easier for them. The most unforgettable women are the ones who never forget their own worth. They can love with everything they have, but they never confuse love with losing themselves. And that's the boundary that makes a man fall in love forever. Because he sees it, he feels it, and he knows that if he's lucky enough to have your heart, he better protect it, he better honor it, and he better never take it for granted. Because once a woman knows her worth, she becomes the kind of woman a man never wants to lose.